Hello and welcome to the talk Doing Good Young Leaders Shaping America's Future Through Nonprofit Work. My name is Kamy Akhavan. I'm the managing director of the USC Dornsife Center for the Political Future, and I've had the great privilege of teaching a course called Doing Good: How to Start and Run a Successful Nonprofit Organization for about 10 semesters now. That course is part of the USC Dornsife Toolkit, and today I'm joined by 6 USC alum who have taken this course and will be sharing their stories with you about their work in the nonprofit field, what drew them to it, what kind of impact they have been making, and what kind of impact they hope to make. Each person who is on the Zoom with us today has an incredible story. We'll be talking with each person for approximately 10 minutes each. And then at the end of it all, if you have any questions, we encourage you to put them in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to ask our panelists. So with that said, I'd like to first have our panelists introduce themselves, and I'll call you out by name. So please share your name, your current title, and where you're originally from. And we'll start with you, Taylor.
Hello, thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Taylor Ryan. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm currently an intern at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, as well as the founder of Team Sabrina Incorporated, and a current student getting my Master's of Science in Social Entrepreneurship.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Taylor. How about you, Kira?
Hi, my name is Sano. I am a nonprofit consultant and strategist, and am based in Los Angeles right now, and I'm currently getting my master's in sustainability management at USC.
Impressive. Thank you, Kira. Joanna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanna Maniti. I'm the founder of Cherish Hearts International, and also during my time at USC, I was the former director of communications, and I am born and raised in Long Beach.
Excellent. Thank you, Joanna. Teya.
Thank you for having us, Kamy. My name is Teya Hisel. I am originally from Seattle, Washington, and my current title is I just finished my position at Downtown Women's Center as the policy manager last week, and I'm about to start my master's in social work in about a month. So I'm in between titles at the moment, but at USC was the founder of the student organization advocacy.
Excellent. Thank you, Teya. And how about you, Kayla?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kayla Williams. I am born and raised in Los Angeles, California, and I just finished my master's in education at University of Cal last semester. So now I'm officially a pro athlete.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Kayla. How about you, Ava?
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here with you all. My name is Ava Sanchez. I'm currently a public affairs and political strategist at JCI Worldwide, and I will also shortly be returning to USC for a master's degree in public relations, innovation, strategy, and management.
Hmm. Thank you all for those introductions. You folks know it, and for those of you in our audience, just know that there's about 1.5 million nonprofits here in the country. It is the third largest industry sector because a lot of things that are considered nonprofits, most people don't associate with being nonprofits. Things like hospitals, like football bowl games, professional sports leagues, in addition to things we typically think of like Goodwill and Red Cross and feeding the homeless type of organizations. So the type of work experience that the panelists today have is quite diverse. And I wanted to start us off with Kira because I promised you all a surprise announcement, and Kira has one for us. Kira, I just wanted to start with you and ask you a question, which is, what drew you to work in the nonprofit sector in the first place? So can you tell us what was one of your earliest experiences in the nonprofit sector?
Yeah, so my earliest experience with nonprofits was with the American Cancer Society. And so I started as a freshman in high school. My mom was struggling with her brain cancer diagnosis, stage 4 brain cancer. And my grandma had just passed away from lung cancer. And I was looking for an outlet to really like take action against cancer. And so luckily I stumbled upon the American Cancer Society and at my high school. They had a Relay for Life there, which is, if you don't know, one of the biggest fundraising events in the nation. And they do community-based 24 hours relaying and like community-based events. And so I found out about ACS through that. And then I absolutely fell in love with the mission, the organization, and for the first time ever, I felt hope in my mom's cancer diagnosis. And so after experiencing that and experiencing the community of youth around me who were all taking action against cancer, I was really inspired, and it really has driven all of my life decisions since then, honestly.
Love that. I've known you for years now, Kira, and I'm very familiar with your work in helping those who have cancer, generating money for cancer research, and just doing so much good work for those who have it and those who have had it and beaten it. Just today, USC Dornsife put out a research report. It was from Professor Norbert Schwartz, who talked about the term battle that's associated with cancer. And he said that rather than use the word battle, we should use the word journey. And I just wondered if you think that that language is appropriate about battling versus a journey. How do you think about cancer?
You know, I think it's very individual. Everyone uses different language. Some people don't like the word survivor. Some people love the word survivor. Because for some people, it does feel like a battle. It does feel like a fight. And for me, it does feel like a fight. And I think that when we're talking about the broader scope of things, I like using the word fight language because it is something that we need to actively work against. And when we're talking about an individual's journey with cancer, I think that's an person's journey because it's a lifelong journey, unfortunately.
Understood. Well, you've had your share of battles and journeys in the nonprofit space, and I'm wondering if you could share a little bit of your experiences, pros and cons of working in the nonprofit space. And I'm asking that because I want to tee you up for my next question, which is, what are you doing next?
Yeah, so the pros and cons of working in nonprofits, there's so many. I've experienced over the past 9 years of working with nonprofits, 9, 10 years now. I think the pros are definitely waking up every morning and feeling driven and grounded in the work that I'm doing. I love the mission-driven alignment. I think I was talking with somebody else when I was working with Friends of the Los Angeles River, and they were like, I just love being able to know that every day that I work, that I'm contributing to something bigger than myself. And I think that has always really stuck with me. I love doing community-based work and building power with communities. And it's always been a creative outlet for me and a way for me to fight back against things that I find unjust in the world. So I think it's definitely been my life's mission to work with nonprofits and to work with social impact in the cause. But I would say the cons are definitely funding insecurity is definitely a real issue, as we'll probably hear from the others, is finding funding and finding personal funding for it is definitely a real issue. Burnout, because we're so understaffed in the nonprofit world, is definitely a huge issue, where we don't really have the resources, or we have the job of like 3 people. Like I left a position with one of the organizations I was working with, and they restaffed me with 5 people. And it was, the work of one person can sometimes be so tremendous and really lead to burnout in the long run. I also think there's a lot of structural inequity and also structural issues with nonprofits too that I can talk about for hours.
You're right. The pros and cons, we could go on for hours or days or weeks even.
Yeah.
And money, oh my gosh, we all wish we had more of it. Which leads me to my next question, which is, what are you doing now? Because I think you have a big announcement to make.
I do have a big announcement to make. So I am starting a nonprofit called KiraKira. And this is something that I just started a few weeks ago, so very new. It's going to be a research and storytelling institute dedicated to systems transformation through hope, creative tools, and community wisdom. And really that word of hope has always been something that's powerful to me. Yeah, so if you go to my About page too, it has a little more information too. So we work with communities shaped by hardship to co-create stories, games, research, and tools that shift systems that help youth, people, and planet thrive. So it comes from this word KiraKira, obviously my name is in there because I discovered from Megan Thee Stallion's song and from my Japanese classes that I was taking that my name actually means shining or shining brightly or sparkly. And so I really wanted to like run with that because that's really been the essence of like all of the nonprofit work that I've always done, is that I've always wanted to uplift movements and uplift communities. And so that's what I've been working on for the past few weeks, and I hope to continue working on for the rest of my life, actually, is this nonprofit that empowers other nonprofits and other movements and like really creates community amongst them. And yeah, so that's
I love that, Kira. Well, congratulations on the launch. They're not easy to get off the ground. They're even harder to maintain and sustain and grow. You're an extremely capable person. I'm so excited for you on this journey. And for anyone listening live or listening on a recording or listening on a podcast, it's KiraKiraInstitute.org. That's KIRA Institute.org. And they accept donations and volunteers and other ways to get involved. So please check it out. And Kira, before we go, let me ask you my speed round questions. Now, this is just for fun, but I wanted to put you on the spot here, and we got less than a minute, but let me ask you these questions. Your favorite place to eat on or near USC? What was it, or what is it?
Right now it's Bruxy, the chicken and waffle place.
Gotcha. The most famous person you ever saw on campus?
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang, great one. One or two books that changed the way you think?
I love Atlas of the Heart and The Body Keeps the Score.
Ooh, great ones. Who's a famous person you really want to work with?
Emma Watson.
Biggest inspirations?
Biggest inspiration, I always looked up to Mari Copeny, Little Miss Flint, my dad, and my brother.
Anyone else you want to shout out?
It's really big shout out to my dad. He's my #1 supporter.
Wow. Kira, congratulations on your many successes so far, and best of luck to you with what comes next with the KiraKira Institute. So proud of you, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, always open to having volunteers or having fellows or anything like that. So anyone can feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Gosh, folks, I wish we had a full day just to highlight the tremendous charisma and capabilities of the women who are joining us today. I'm going to now pivot to Ava Sanchez. And Ava, we've now known each other for years in various capacities. And let me ask you, what are you doing? What have you been doing to draw inspiration in the nonprofit space? So I guess my real question is, where did this desire to help other people, where did that come from? What are some of your earliest experiences in nonprofits?
Well, my first experience in nonprofits was actually as a founder, believe it or not. I started my organization called Ava Edits Essays when I was 18 years old in my freshman year of college, and it was in response to a rising need in my own community. I went to Whittier High School here in Los Angeles County, so local girl, and we had one excellent college counselor, Counselor Mencia, who served a class of 650 students. When the pandemic hit in my freshman year of college, they had to
One
leave.
counselor, 650 students.
650. Yes. Yeah. So to start, already the need was high, resources were on the lower side. They were excellent and sat me down and made me aware of options that were available to me, which I wouldn't have known otherwise. And I credit them with my full scholarship to USC, which absolutely changed my life. Unfortunately, they had to leave their position, and my high school teachers started reaching out to me with first 5 students that needed help, then 10, then 20. And very quickly it became bigger than me. So I turned to social media and I reached out looking for both students in need of support with college prep and also college students who would be willing to serve as peer mentors, essay editors, guiding them through the college application process. Very impactful first experience, and ran that project for about 3 years, which eventually led me to you, Kamy, and to doing good.
Well, I remember when you were with Ava Edit, some of your successes, you told me some of these kids ended up at really prestigious universities, and they might not have had those opportunities. Did you not just take some initiative and really step in where you saw the need? Can you remind me, you told me some really impressive schools, including USC.
Thank you. Yes, we did get a couple of Trojans in the program, which is a great achievement on my side. We also had students get into MIT, Chicago, several UC schools, and we did provide virtual college tours through friends of mine at schools across the country, including on Harvard's campus, Duke's campus, and USC at a time when students otherwise wouldn't have been able to see those campuses. So I'm very proud of our time together.
Gosh. Well, I'm thinking about that and thinking, obviously, you had a compulsion for nonprofits. You had some experience. You did it in high school, but now you're in college, and usually people are like, I don't want to do what I did in high school. I'm going to go off and experience new things and do new things. But you were drawn to this, at least to this nonprofit course. Kind of what drew you to this doing good class? You could have taught it.
Well, thank you for saying that. I'm not sure that I agree. But I did just jump in a moment of need, and I didn't have formal training in the nonprofit world. So I think joining your class doing good was an acknowledgement that I had a lot to learn. And I did learn so much of the formal administrative side of nonprofit management and how to help make a nonprofit sustainable, especially from the industry experts brought into the class. And that background helped me when I became even a Coro Fellow in Public Affairs and had nonprofit placements. I worked with grant makers at Cedar Sinai, and I also worked with grantees at Stepping Forward LA to develop a housing program. So if I hadn't had the exposure in doing good, I'm not sure that I would have been as well equipped to navigate those placements.
Well, right now we're looking at an image of the Stepping Forward LA.org organization, and you obviously had a big impact on their operation. Can you describe what you did for them?
Yeah, this project is very personally important to me. I was placed with them for about a month and a half, and we ran toward developing a housing program from the ground up. So Stepping Forward LA serves foster youth and youth exiting the foster system, about 60% of whom will experience housing insecurity in the first 3 years after leaving foster care. So Beth Ryan, their executive director, and their incredible team, 80% of whom have lived experience in the system, got together to create a program that helps people to navigate incredibly difficult existing housing resources. I was responsible for crafting the strategic plan along with Beth, and also for interviewing people with lived experience to figure out what they might need in terms of life skill development. So the Ava Edits model actually came into play a little bit because there is an adult co-mentor program as well as a peer mentorship program. The peer mentorship is more focused on people who have lived experience, walking them through as they navigate their exit from the system. And then the adult co-mentor experience is focused on life skill development. And actually, I got to work with some folks with lived experience to figure out what those gaps might be, and included some college prep services in that based off of my time with Ava Edits. So very personally fulfilling for me. The team does excellent work. They've housed over 100 people to date and are working with about 100 more right now. So yeah, they're doing great work, and I highly encourage everyone to go check them out. They've got an app too, if you're curious about some of those resources.
I didn't realize it until I became aware of your work with this organization that Los Angeles has the largest population of foster youth of any city in America. And obviously we have a major housing shortage as well. So for you to be doing this kind of work with that kind of population, it speaks volumes about the need and your capabilities. So good on you for that. In the course of doing that work, obviously you've seen some things, and I wonder from your work with Ava Edits, your work with Coro Fellows, your work with Stepping Forward LA, and so many of the volunteer types of roles you've done, and your political work. I'm wondering about the what is it about nonprofit work specifically that you find so compelling today? Like what draws you to want to continue doing this work and not think, forget it. Let me go make some money.
Yeah, most of my formal career experience has been in government and politics. And in doing that, I think I've realized the limits of that sector. And I think that cross-sector collaboration is incredibly important, which is something emphasized in Coro. And having been on multiple sides of the nonprofit world now, I just see that they have this unique ability to kind of insert themselves in places where government can't always reach, and to be very directly connected to community, very community informed, to move maybe more quickly than government can, and to mobilize government resources in a way that is informed by what their community needs. So I just have so much respect for the unique aspects of that industry and the ways that they can address problems that are unique to the nonprofit world.
Gosh, well, I'm so impressed by Ava for so many reasons. But let me ask you this, because we're about to hit the speed round. Let me ask, what are you doing today? What are you up to?
Yeah, today I am a political and public affairs strategist at JCI Worldwide. I actually often work with nonprofits and other community organizations to connect them with legislators in the political advocacy space. So it's a little bit of the marriage of my two worlds. And I'm prepping to go back to school, as I mentioned. So building up a PR toolkit to help engage people more effectively in their political processes.
Oh, wonderful. Love that. All right, you ready for the speed round?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite place to eat on or near USC?
Undeniably Taco Zone. It was right next to my college apartment. I love it.
Okay, excellent. Most famous person you ever saw on campus?
Tinashe performed with her in the Trojan Marching Band.
All right. One or two books that changed the way you think?
First thing that comes to mind is On Liberty by John Stuart Mill. I was a philosophy, politics, and econ major, and that one was really impactful.
That's great. What was a famous person you really want to work with?
Ina Garten, the Barefoot Contessa.
Oh, love that. Who are some of your biggest inspirations?
Two immediately spring to mind, both fierce, community-oriented public servants, Sheila Kuehl and Holly Mitchell.
Uh, and anyone else you want to shout out?
I mean, a big thank you to the Trojans that were on my team at Ava Edits, Antonio Okeke and Karina Aguirre. Thank you for helping us do good work, and I encourage everyone to go check out Surfing Forward LA. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ava. Always great to see you. I wish we had more time, folks, but everyone is so dang interesting. One of the people that I was really excited was able to join us today is Kayla Williams. So Kayla, welcome to the program. Thanks for reuniting with us. You caught my ear when you said pro athlete. Remember, we were talking in class. I knew you were going to be a pro athlete. You knew you were going to be a pro athlete, but tell us, uh, your journey in pro sports and how that might have influenced how you think about nonprofits.
Yeah, I think well, one, I just want to say thank you for having me. And two, my journey has been a bit of a roller coaster, honestly. I'll just keep it short. I'll just talk about my college career. I was able to do 6 years in college, actually. That does include a master's. But I started at UC Irvine, I redshirted my freshman year, had to get surgery. So I sat out. I learned a lot just by being on the sidelines and learning the game just from the sidelines instead of playing it. Then I played 2 years there, came over to SC, fight on, you know. Um, Came over to SC, played 2 years there. I will say my experience at SC wasn't what I thought it would be, but it was so good just being so close to home. And I think that experience unlocked a different side of me. And I went through some tough times, but I think that needed to happen in order for me to grow and be better. So come, my last year at Cal, it was a great year. I finished with my master's in education and I had a good season as well. And I think all of that just inspired me to do more because that's where my little buckets it came to life being at Cal. And I think just being surrounded by a lot of people who may not even have really known me at the time, but supported me and believed in me. They just pushed me to make this come to life and bring this to life. And the kids are always excited. And I think seeing them excited is what excites me to kind of go and teach them, give them my knowledge, and even sometimes learn from them as well.
That's right. It sounds like uh, what struck me from all the things you said was how adversity for you can was a teacher. We all face adversity. Every single human being faces adversity, and it's whether or not we choose to learn from those experiences or let them defeat us. And you did not let it defeat you. But where did that come from? Like what compelled you to say, okay, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to use it to build on it and grow from it. Uh,
Honestly, my support system, and I would say most importantly, my family,
mm.
because in all honesty, in the moment, it didn't really feel like one of those things that at times, one of those things where I could push through, and overcome.
Yeah.
But my parents were always there by my side. My family was always there by my side, pushing me because they believed in me. And in order to kind of get to where you want to be, you have to go through things, you have to overcome adversity. So they always made sure that I understood that. And I kept that in the back of my mind to push through.
Um, the I remember in class you were telling me about your vision for Little Buckets, and whether it should have an S at the end or a Z at the end. You went with the Z. That's a good call. And then I can't tell you how happy it was. It made me, Kayla, when I saw your Instagram video of these little girls who are learning basketball and life skills from you, and you brought it to life. Can you tell us about that process of what it was like to go from vision to now it's real?
Well, I will say I'm very appreciative of your class because without your class, I couldn't really tell you if Little Buckets would be a thing today. So just creating that and seeing like the vision and seeing the girls kind of embrace it and learn from it, something that was just started in a class and just was at one point a thought in my mind. Um, it was I just have so much gratitude for it because the first when I actually had the camp and I saw the girls come, I got shirts, they say Little Buckets girls basketball camp on it. Again, all things that were just ideas at one point, and just to see all of that come to life, take pictures, little girls with smiles on their faces after the camp, they reflect and they say, I had a great time. To have parents come up to me and say, like, they really appreciated and that their daughter had a good time, she was happy. Like, for me, it was just so much gratitude. And looking back at that is, I am just so blessed to be in a position where little girls can actually, look up to me and believe in me enough to want to kind of mimic and imitate some of the skills and things that I do on and off the court.
Yeah, what's so profound about this idea is how much a difference a one experience can make in a person's life. When I reflect back on my own life, I'm like, were it not for that one class or that one moment or that one person, my life would have been so different. And I think about my parents and what they share with me. I'm like, if it wasn't for that one influence in their lives or that one opportunity, their lives would have been different. And I remember you were telling me the same about your own story, about how certain opportunities kind of just opened doors for you and made you think differently. And now I'm seeing like you're doing that now for all these girls who you don't know how huge of an impact that might be for them. And I wonder, does it feel kind of like full circle as you're doing this now, and you're on the giving end of what you were receiving?
Absolutely. And I will also say too, as much as I feel like I am giving, I also do feel like I receive from them
Mhm.
because just as much as I might inspire them, I think they also inspire me as well. Because just to understand and see the impact that I can have on them, it's a gift in itself for me. So yeah.
I love hearing that. Well, tell me, so what are you doing these days?
Well, I am getting ready to go play overseas. I'm still working on Little Buckets. I actually was going to have another camp next weekend, but unfortunately, I did have to cancel it. But we're just going to postpone it for next summer. I'm hoping to do something in LA this time and make it like a big event as well. So stay tuned for that. That'll be
Okay.
coming next summer. But now, again, I'm just currently getting ready to go play overseas in Turkey. I leave in about less than a month, a couple weeks. So just getting mentally prepared for that. It's my first time. I've been out the country, but I've never lived out the country. So it'll be a first time for that. But I'm excited. So just trying to get mentally and physically prepared for that opportunity.
Oh my gosh, playing in Turkey. That's so exciting. What a different culture from the one we grew up in, right? Yeah. Good for you. Okay, well, ready for speed round?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Favorite place to eat on or near USC?
I would have to say Spud Nuts, open from for 24 hours. Go to anytime. So good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Most famous person you ever saw on campus?
Honestly, I kind of have a few just because a lot of them came to our games, but just to name a couple, maybe, Kevin Hart, Chris Brown, Will Ferrell, just to name a few, I would
Oh
say off the top of
yeah,
my mind.
yeah. That's right. That's impressive. One or two books that changed the way you think.
Well, my favorite all-time player is Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. So his book of Mama Mentality, I think, is probably number one, and I'll say another one called Atomic Habits.
Love that book. Yeah, and Mamba Mentality. Good ones. Okay. Who's a famous person you really want to work with?
I would say Maya Moore. She also does work in nonprofit. She was a legend in the WNBA, and she works in social justice as well. So just for sure, would love to work with her.
Right. Well, so biggest inspirations.
My family and like I mentioned earlier, the kids. I think they're very overlooked. I just want to shout out one kid in particular, Cadence. She's one of the girls that I train, and I think she has had a big impact on me. So for sure, the kids and my family.
Well, shout out to Cadence and anybody else you want to shout out.
My support system, everybody that believes in me and wants to see me do well and truly just uh, pushes me to be my best at all times. My friends, everybody just in my circle.
Love that. Well, Kayla, always good to see you. Best of luck with your travels abroad and your athletic career in Turkey and wherever else it takes you. And you always got a career in the nonprofit sector.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Okay, so we're going to go from Kayla to Teya. And Teya, you and we have worked together. We've taken these classes together. We've become friends. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. All right. I'm better now that you're here. I wanted to ask Kayla because you've done a lot of impressive things in your life, but I'm gonna ask you specifically about nonprofits. Can you tell me about some of your earliest experiences working in nonprofits?
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely did some volunteering when I was in high school, but I think the my first super impactful experience that I had came after high school. I took a gap year to work at a few different nonprofits in my hometown in Seattle. My first position was at a family services center called Atlantic Street Center, and I was working for half the year in resource development, so just doing, entering fundraising into the database, and then
Mm.
the second half, I ended up running a teen parenting program, which I was very in over my head, but I learned so much just from all the different programs that they ran at that organization, and how I could be, a small piece of what they did, and it will always stick with me.
Yeah. That sounds like trial by fire, right? You were thrown into these situations. Do you think that that is a good that was you said it was positive because you learned from it and grew from it. Other people might think, yeah, this is too much. I don't know what I'm doing here. How did you turn that challenge of I'm not sure what I'm doing here into this is a great learning opportunity? How do you advise people to think about those situations where we often feel overwhelmed and not sure what to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think definitely hindsight is a big piece of it.
Mhm.
I think when you're in that experience, being overwhelmed and kind of getting thrown into things, which I've definitely been in that situation a number of times, it's stressful and it's important to rely on your support systems and, ask for help when you need help. I think in that experience running the teen parenting program, I just tried to contribute what I could contribute, I didn't try to overstep. I didn't want to insert my experience into the program, but I wanted to bring, whatever skills I could into that and make the most of it. And I think there were times when I was successful, and there were times when I learned a lot and had opportunities for growth. But definitely, relying on your supports and asking for help are really important. And then wait, 5, 10 years, and you'll just think it was a great lesson.
Yeah, just wait 5, 10 years on this. So there you go. That's right. Like you said, hindsight. That's fair. That's fair. Well, I know you've had a lot of experience in nonprofits, and I was really just broadly speaking, we've heard from Kira and we've heard from Kayla, we've heard from Ava about some of the pros and the cons of the industry. But for you, what do you think are some of the benefits and drawbacks of working in this space in general?
Definitely. Yeah, this is a great question. I think for me, the pros and cons stem from really what nonprofits are in their definition, and that's they're meant to fill the gaps of what government doesn't provide and what services, folks might need. And I think that can be so powerful as a piece of the puzzle that we need in society, to support people who are dealing with systemic inequities and dealing with personal struggles and facing all of these things in their lives. I think nonprofits can be so powerful in addressing those pieces. I think the cons, in that definition, is that nonprofits aren't intended to be making transformational change. They're not intended to be making, grand systems-wide change. And definitely a lot of them do, and a lot of them try really hard to do and have a systemic impact, but that's not by definition what they're intended to do. So I think I found it really powerful to be involved with so many different nonprofits in so many different roles because I get to be one little puzzle piece in that system. And I've been really grateful for that.
Understood. And I know what you mean about sometimes we do what we can in this space and we try to do as much good as we can, but sometimes
Mhm.
uh, we're up against some pretty powerful forces. One of them in particular, I know here in Los Angeles and frankly, many places around the world is housing. And that's an area where you developed a real special expertise. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your experience with the Downtown Women's Center. What is it? What does it do? And what did you do there?
Yeah, definitely. So the Downtown Women's Center is a nonprofit in Los Angeles County that serves exclusively women and gender diverse folks who are experiencing homelessness. We do that through we have housing, different mental health services, clinical services, job training programs, case management services, and something called a trauma recovery center addressing the 90% of women who have experienced trauma or violence while they're experiencing homelessness. So it's a broad mission of serving women and gender diverse folks who are experiencing homelessness. My piece in that was as a policy manager, so I focused on our policy advocacy. It was a really incredible position that I got to do for 2 years. And I worked on our policy agenda, what's policies that we wanted to support at the city, county, state, and federal level, and then executing that agenda. So, attending public comments, meeting with different elected official offices, all the things you might think of when you think of political advocacy. I was doing that for DWC, and it was a really amazing experience. Definitely a little bit trial by fire again, but I learned so much doing it, and it was an incredible experience.
Incredible. And you did such good work there. And I've heard from people you've worked with and worked for about what a great impact that you've made doing that kind of work. So good on you, Teya.
Thank you.
I want to ask not just about your past, but about your future. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days?
Yeah, definitely. Right now, I'm on the East Coast. That's why I feel like my screen's been getting darker and darker as we've as we've been here. Just visiting some family and friends before I head to grad school at the University of Chicago. I'm moving there in a few weeks. Excited to start my master's in social work program. I think I've talked a lot about, the different puzzle pieces. I haven't had too much experience getting to actually work with folks on like a services side. I've done a lot of, policy and admin stuff behind the scenes, but I really want to get, that human-centered approach to the work that I do. So I'm really excited to be starting that program in the fall.
Uh, it's a very prestigious program. Congrats for getting in. They're
Thank you.
lucky to, frankly, they're lucky to have you. Uh, and and if you're ready for it, Teya, shall we do the speed round?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear your favorite place to eat on or near the USC campus.
Yeah, eBay's has the best vegetarian sushi right by like Nature's Brew and Bakari.
Excellent. Okay. Who's the most famous person you ever saw on campus?
Pete Buttigieg.
Ooh, good one. Right. I remember that day.
Yeah, at a
What
CPF event. Uh,
one or two books that changed the way you think?
Yeah, I read Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann in high school, and it's really stuck with me since then.
I'm going to add that to my list. Thank you.
Mhm.
Who's a famous person that you really want to work with?
I think Kristen Stewart would be really cool. I think that'd be really fun. and she's a
Yeah,
friend of DWC. So,
she is. Yes, I remember seeing her at a couple events. Who are some of your biggest inspirations?
yeah, I think my community, my family, my found family and friends have been incredibly inspiring, as well as my, supervisors and bosses at Downtown Women's Center, Amy Turk and Vicky Arenas, our CEO and our Chief External Affairs Officer. They really inspired me in the way that they are so thoughtful and committed in their work.
And who else do you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Be Heard, who has taken over advocacy, which was the student organization I started, and has kept that up and running along with the rest of her e-board and everybody who participated in advocacy after I left. Also, a huge shout out to you, Kamy. You've been such a mentor and a friend for years now, and so many of my experiences are from connecting with you and being part of CPF and part of this class. So, big shout out to you.
Well, thank you much, Tay. I appreciate it. And shout out right back. You've been an inspiration to me as well. Everybody on this call really has. And I really appreciate you taking the time to join us despite being on a different time zone. And as the sun sets over there on the East Coast, that you're able to join us here today. So thank you for that. And best of luck
Thank you.
with your studies at U Chicago.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're going to go from Teya to Taylor Ryan. And Taylor, you have brought me into your sorority twice for a very special dinner, so thank you for that. It was my first time at any of the sororities on the USC campus, and it was for such a special event. You and I have become friends over the years. I remember taking walking tours of the campus, just talking about some of the nonprofit work that you're interested in. So thanks for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me today. It means a lot to be here and feels really full circle. I took your class spring of freshman year, and now I'm finishing up my Master's of Science in Social Entrepreneurship.
Gosh, from a freshman to finishing your master's degree, that's amazing. Well, I know you've had a lot of diverse experience, and you mentioned that you're from Omaha, Nebraska. Can you tell me a little bit about some of your early experiences in nonprofit work?
I would definitely say some of my early experiences in nonprofit work started very early. It was something that was very valued within my family, specifically philanthropy and service work. It was always something we talked about almost daily when we were driving. If we drove by a lottery thing, it was always like if we were to win the lottery, it wasn't what we would buy first, it was what charity we would donate to first. So
Wow.
I feel like because of that upbringing specifically, it was always kind of just natural and felt good to give back to my community. So I would say my first thing was just being involved in Girl Scouts on my own. And then also in high school, I was a member of a junior board for pediatric cancer research, as well as just seeing the work that my grandmother and my mom did at the Nebraska AIDS Foundation within Opera Omaha, the Omaha Community Playhouse. And also, my grandfather is very involved in Rotary Omaha, and then the Salvation Army was we would do bell ringing always every year growing up. So community service work was something that felt natural as a hobby, which was great growing up and coming into college where I could see it could be more than just a hobby. It could really be a career.
Oh my gosh. And to have it be a whole family experience and it's just part of the culture of your growing up. And that definitely explains that public service, giving to others kind of orientation. And Taylor, remember when you were sharing in class, uh, the additional reasons why you were taking the class. And there was one big life-changing, never going to forget it ever, ever, ever moment. And I wonder if you're comfortable talking about that and how it sort of led you into a very uh, a major path in your life. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about your that experience. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Kami. I would love to share, and I'm always looking forward to share my story, but also not my story, but also my mom and my family's story. So ultimately, growing up, as I spoke a little bit about my mother being very involved in the community, at the end of my eighth grade year, I lost my mom to suicide. And at that point, I had been struggling a lot with my own mental health, and I knew something was going on, but being so young, I didn't really know what was going on and I didn't know how to handle it. So, within a month of losing my mom to suicide, I had many different volunteers actually show up to my door with a lot of different resources of mental health resources and suicide loss resources for those in the community. Immediately, it was really hard for me to process. As we all know, there's a large stigma around suicide as well as mental health. And so, not only was it hard to be a young person and talk about losing my mom, it was hard because not only did people my age not really understand grief, but people didn't really even understand mental health, let alone suicide. So for a long time, it was hard to even say the word suicide until I came across the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And that following year, I lost my mom in 2017. In the fall of 2018, I attended my first ever Out of the Darkness community walk. And attending this community walk was truly an eye-opening experience because at that point, I really felt alone. I didn't think anybody else could help me articulate the words of loss I was feeling, even my family. It was so different because how you feel when you lose someone to suicide really represents the relationship you had with that person. And so your loss journey is really unique. And I know through my years of work with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, this perspective now, but at the time, it was really hard and it was very heavy. So after attending this walk, it truly felt like a weight was lifted, but also among doing this, I was fundraising for suicide prevention research. So at this first walk, I raised $1,000, and then the next year it was $3,000, and then the next year it was $5,000 in selling 200 t-shirts, getting them all from Custom Ink, and then delivering them all to my classmates at school, as well as just not only now talking about my mom, but talking about how I lost my mom. And being able to take back my story was something just really powerful. And I have the opportunity to intern now with them today, as well as continue being a volunteer in the local chapter.
Well, tell her your mom would be so, so, so proud of you. You know that. I know I'm so proud of you. Your family's so proud of you. It's just you've done a lot of good for a lot of people by being so vulnerable. And I think that's part of what makes working a nonprofit special is we have to take something that's deeply personal to us and try to get other people to care about it. And they might not be familiar with it. They might not understand it, but they're human beings just like we are. And so we find ways to connect. And you've done an exceptional job of finding a very vulnerable and real, genuine way to connect with other people to communicate your story.
Thank you so much. It's been a truly just empowering experience because the feedback I get from other individuals and now to have that connection with other suicide loss survivors, it's truly community and being able to just support anybody when they need that support is so crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And for that reason, like the things people are afraid to talk about are oftentimes the things that we should talk about the most, because that that reaction like this is too hot can be unhealthy. Like it's important to talk about and communicate and really grapple with some of these things, even though they're difficult and challenging. And everyone, I think, in this group has been able to share some example of that. But I wanted to ask because I'm curious what you're up to today. I think I know, and I'm wondering if you could tell us about it.
Definitely. I would say right now I'm up to a whole lot. Pursuing my Master's of Science in Social Entrepreneurship has truly been incredible. And through that experience, I have had the opportunity to turn Team Sabrina, a fundraising campaign that we were a team underneath the Out of the Darkness walks for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, now into our own 501(c)(3) nonprofit. And so our personal mission is to bring hope and spread optimism to young people who think their lives are over before they even start. My mission for Team Sabrina is to continue fundraising for suicide prevention with programs that empower young people and allow them to escape their own grief. One program that I'm working on ideating and iterating with a lot of community feedback from suicide loss survivors using user-generated design that I've learned through the social entrepreneurship program. I'm hoping to be able to launch within the next 2 years Camp Dawn, which would be a summer camp for those who have lost parents to suicide. And this is truly meaningful because Dawn is also my mom's middle name. And so not only does it represent coming out of the dark and into the light, it truly represents her memory and helping just minimize the loss and the future deaths by suicide so that families and individuals can never have to feel the pain that I once felt.
Mm. That's so beautiful. Congratulations, Taylor, on getting the C3 status for your organization. That's incredible. And by the way, for anyone who's watching on YouTube, the links to these places that we're talking about, they will be in the comment section. So just go to the comment section to look. And if you're listening on the podcast, then go to the YouTube page and you'll find all the links there so that you can support and learn more about these organizations. Taylor, it's time for speed round. You ready?
I'm ready.
Favorite place to eat on or near USC?
I would like to second eBay's and add in Tie by Trio.
Oh, excellent. Most famous person you ever saw on campus?
I saw Angus Cloud about a month after Euphoria season 2 came out.
Okay. One or two books that changed the way you think?
One that I actually read recently because of a fellowship class in the Center for Political Future would be The Internet is My Religion.
Oh, that's a great one. Famous person you really want to work with?
I would absolutely love and probably faint if I had the opportunity to work with Ashley Judd.
Oh, right. Uh, who are your biggest inspirations?
I would definitely say to this day, my late mom and my late father are my biggest inspirations. Every day, I'm just working to keep their memory alive, but also my sister, who has been my biggest inspiration and just the reason that I want to continue to bring light and hope to young people so that nobody ever feels like they're alone, especially her and any younger sibling, older sibling, and any family member.
Well, last, anyone else you want to shout out?
I would definitely like to shout out my Nan and Poppy, just their support in the last 4 years of college and also taking me in after losing both of my parents. I think they gave me opportunities I never thought would be possible.
Love that. Taylor, always so good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. And with that, I want to pivot to Joanna Maniti. Joanna, you were in the very first Doing Good course that I ever taught. I really didn't know, I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. And then I remember about halfway through the course, you said, guess what? I launched a nonprofit. And I remember the students were like, "What? You launched it? Really? You did already?" And I'm wondering if you could tell us about if you remember that day and sharing that announcement, and what were you doing behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think Kamy, your class was very monumental to my nonprofit. I think it really gave me that safe space and that outlet I was looking for creativity and also connecting with other like-minded nonprofit individuals and entrepreneur people with an entrepreneurial mindset. I do remember that day. It was back in 2020. I remember I took your class during my fall semester of my senior year. And our first week in the class was just going over like a brainstorm of what would your ideal nonprofit be. And I just remember writing down, like, I want to start a nonprofit that works with kids and helps build schools and orphanages overseas. And I think really putting that down on paper made things more tangible for me to actually work towards. And so it was like a light bulb moment for me of why don't I actually try to get this in motion? And so my first experience in the nonprofit world was volunteering on a mission trip with my church in the Philippines. So on this trip, I had really unlocked my heart for working with kids and helping street kids and orphans there. And so after your class, I had reached out to an old connection there. He was a pastor that had led a church that I was a part of there. And I reached out to him and just sent him a message, just telling him what my where my heart was and what my idea was. And he had told me that he was working towards something very similar and had an orphanage project already. So we had just partnered together And then I came back running to your class, letting you guys know that that was like a vision that was coming currently into fruition.
Wow. Well, I remember in that day in class, not only did you tell us the vision, but then you showed us pictures, and we were just struck by there's walls that are going up. These kids who are living on the street now not only have a place to live, but they have a place to learn and a place to be loved. And I'm wondering if you could tell us about that organization that you created from that moment and that collaboration, what it is, because it all ties together. You've basically been doing that for years now, and I'm really eager to hear that story of its development.
Yeah, it was something that I had come into USC wanting to do. I think after the trip I went on with my church, I had come back to the US and just having this vision of wanting to continue to do nonprofit work, not knowing exactly what that would look like or how sustainable it would be. And I think at USC, when I was trying to figure out what major I wanted to go into, I was thinking I want to go into business admin, but I want to learn how to use business strategy to utilize in the nonprofit space. So I think that made me really curious to enroll in your course during my senior year because I had gone throughout USC just strictly taking business classes and not really like dipping my feet in the water of like, okay, what? And I just felt like I wasn't really getting towards my goal. So I think after your course, it helped me realize just how easy it is and how collaborative it is for visions to really bring into reality. So I think after that aha moment that I had, it helped me just really build that momentum so that after I graduated, I was able to really do my passion full time and be
Yeah.
able to launch Cherish, get the 501(c)(3) status, and continue to fundraise for the projects we've had.
And we're showing here an image of Cherish, some of the kids that are benefiting from what you created. This did not exist until you brought it into the world. And it's just so beautiful. Like it makes me so happy that you did this. Can you tell us about where these kids are in the world, what it is that you're doing for them, and what kind of help do you need?
Yeah, so currently on the page you're at, we launched Kids Helping Kids program. So that's in partnership with another organization in the Philippines that helps child sponsorship programs. So our donors are able to pledge a certain amount that will 100% donations will go to school supplies, education, school uniforms, housing, and right now, I am currently recruiting for board members. So I've been busy with just interviewing a new batch of board of directors, as well as volunteers who are interested in working with us. And the kids that you see here, they're from the island of Mindanao. So that's northern Mindanao in the Philippines.
Uh, Board members, any potential board members listening, the link to cherishco.org is available on the YouTube page, and you can find it again at cherishco.org. That's what you need. You remember one of the lessons I always say in class is if you don't ask, you don't get. And it's one of the most important lessons, I think, in nonprofit space in general. So I love that you ask for what you need. And right now, that's board members. And so, World get some to Joanna. Cherish is a wonderful organization and needs that support. Um, and and I wanted to ask, so obviously you're running this today. You're the founder, the CEO, president, whatever cool title, executive director that you've earned for yourself. Anything else that you want our audience to know about your work with Cherish and what you may need today?
Yeah, I think board of directors is number one on our list right now. And just any type of volunteer, we're very open to people helping out our social media team. And also in the Philippines, we're in the process of building out just like a Cherisher ambassador program where people from the Philippines and we're kind of teaming up and bridging that gap with Cherish. So excited to look forward to that. And just, I've been meeting a lot of interesting people who are also passionate about working with kids and working internationally.
Wow. Well, are you ready for the speed round?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. My first question for you is, what was your favorite place to eat on or near the USC campus?
It'd have to be Bakari.
Kari, great spot. Yes. Most famous person you ever saw on campus?
Troy Sivan.
One or two books that changed the way you think?
Defining Decade and Atomic Habits.
Other Atomic Habits. Yes. Famous person you really want to work with?
I'd say Meghan Markle.
All right. Um, who are your biggest inspirations?
It'd have to be Johnny Erickson Tata. She also started her own nonprofit after a diving accident, and she's been a big inspiration of mine since reading her book.
Uh, and anyone else you want to shout out?
I'd say just everyone who has supported me during the process of when Cherish was just like a seed form of an idea to what it is now. I think every word of encouragement from my team, from classmates, from family members, it's all inspired me to continue to do what I do.
I love that. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for joining today, for all the good work that you've done, for all the good work that all of you have done. I'm such a fan of each person who joined me today. And I do want to say, for students who have not yet taken any of the Dornsife Toolkit courses, including the Doing Good course, think about taking them. It's the wonderful program, very practical courses, 2-unit credit, no credit courses, and a great way to sort of test the waters in various industries before you commit your life to it. For any folks who are regular Center for the Political Future participants and audience members, today's show is a little bit different. And part of the reason is to show that social change comes in policy and politics. It also comes through the work of NGOs and advocacy. And as many folks have said here today, we're filling the gap in places where politics doesn't often reach. And that's the role of the nonprofit space. So thank you to all the nonprofit leaders who have stepped in to advance social good in all the unique ways that only you are capable of doing. And to those in the community who are thinking, well, how can I help? What else can we do? You can be part of that change. You can always be part of the change, and take what's in your heart and use it to advance the good you want to see in the world. And if you don't have the time or the energy, and you do have a few bucks, or you have maybe a little bit of time, consider volunteering and consider donating to the organizations that you heard about today. So to everyone who joined us today, thank you so much. No, we'll keep in touch, right? We'll keep in touch. And our next event, please stay tuned for what's next on the Let's Find Common Ground podcast. And to those of you who will be staying tuned for the next Center for the Political Future events, there will be many, many, many coming up this fall semester. And to everybody who joined us today, thank you. Fight on. Have a wonderful evening.